hell did you trade JP for?
I'm telling you, I can coach for the NFL. It's not that hard.
I'm Keith Hernandez.
How about those Knicks?
Another game for Milos! What the hell did you trade JP for?
I'm telling you, I can coach for the NFL. It's not that hard.
I'm Keith Hernandez.
Welcome to this podcast. It's making me thirsty, the number one destination for Seinfeld fans. Welcome, everyone, to our March Madness live bracket. We're doing best fake product movie company. Left off Vandalay Industries, left off Monk's Cafe. They seem a little bit too big, if you will, too large, too easy. There might be some other ones missing. Take it up with the committee. But this is the bracket we settled on. Mute your TVs opening day. Mute your TVs NCAA and tune in now, Seinfeld fans. This is it. I'm going to toss it over to producer Chris here. He's going to run the show. He's going to be the tie-breaker. You could chime in on the chat and try and sway him, perhaps. If me and Chris O'Hara both disagree, then he's going to have to be the tiebreaker to move someone on. So getting ready to go here. We're going to go through the whole bracket. Thanks for tuning in, and away we go. You got anything to add, O'Hara?
Nah, let's do it. We are live. We're looking live, as Brent Musburger used to say. So, and by the way, folks, the committee, when Tony talks about that, he's the committee. So take it up with him.
Yeah, thank everybody for tuning in. This
producer
is
Chris, who spelled producer wrong. We love it. But I love it. See what we're working with here. All right, kick it off, Chris.
All right. Well, anyway, so let's move on past that. So anyway, welcome to the 2025 bracket for Seinfeld. And we're doing, like Tony said, best fake movie, product, or company in the show. We got 4 brackets, just like the regular NCAA tournament. We got the Larry David, Peter Mehlman, Tom Cherones, and Larry Charles bracket. So I guess we're going to start off with Larry David, the David bracket. So Tony and Chris, basically you guys got to pick which one. If it's split between the two, I'll tie break, and then we'll take it from there. So Tony, why don't you start off with number 1 versus 16?
Yeah, we'll move this along. Blowout. This is probably the biggest mismatch in the whole bracket. Hennigan's Scotch is an easy win for me.
Yeah, let's move that along here. Cinco de Mayo, one of the worst episodes of all time. Can't even rewatch that one. So Hennigan's.
Absolutely. I think that's a no-brainer. So moving on, 8 versus 9. This is always an interesting one. Very good matchup. We got Rick Bar Properties, where George used to work, versus Jimmy Sherman's Watch Repair from season 4. It's mentioned in 2 episodes. So, Tony, I'll start again with you first in this bracket. What do you got?
All right. So, I just realized we're going to go straight down, right? We're not going to skip to 215. We'll just do it like this. All right, cool. Yeah. Okay, so this is a tough one. This isn't as easy as everyone thinks. I mean, Jimmy Sherman Watch Repair, that's a nice Kramer throw in. Take it down there. He'll fix it, the whole thing there. However, I got a soft spot for Rick Bar Properties. I mean, this is the revenge. This is I will always be a winner. This is some good stuff right here. This is George coming back after quitting. As much as I do like Jimmy Sherman Watch Repair, I kind of do like the name. I like when Kramer knows people for discounts and things like that. But this is kind of Rick Barr is going to advance in my book on this one.
All right, Chris, over to you. What's your pick?
Yeah, Tony laid out a lot of good points there. It's this is a tough one. 8-9. I mean, there's something about Jimmy Sherman. I don't know, the way Jerry panics and the parents are there over in Columbus. I mean, very New York. Love Rick Barr. Had him on the show. Incredible guy. I probably like that episode better. But you know what? 9 with the upset here. Jimmy Sherman. So Schmidt, what do you got as a tiebreaker?
All right, so tiebreaker. Yeah, I mean, an 8-9 pick, I would assume a tiebreaker situation. Very good episodes here. Rick Barr, really one episode, but you get the classic George, like Tony said, going back in after he quits, and all that. You get Rick Leviton, the boss that he hates, Elaine, and George trying to slip him a Mickey. All good stuff there, but also Jimmy Sherman. You know what? It's mentioned in 2 episodes, The Watch and The Wallet. But I got to go with Rick Barr properties here because I think that's where the funniest stuff happens. And George isn't George without that dynamic, that office dynamic. So I'm going with Rick Barr there.
All right. Move on, the 8.
All right. So the next up will be Poppies versus Revelations Antiques. And everybody, I think, is pretty familiar with Poppies, Revelations. That's where Jerry had put the coffee mug on George's parents' coffee table, and they bring it here to Revelations Antiques. So, Tony, what's your pick here?
Okay, Ohio's going to go first. We're going to switch off
on this one. We'll go every
other. All right.
Yeah, this is a good matchup. Revelation Antiques, very underrated. You know, I didn't know the guys have been had cool guys from around, live in the neighborhood. The whole thing there, and the old guy, the owner, loved him. And listen, Poppy's Poppy. You know, Poppy's Poppy. So I'm gonna move Poppy on because the whole hand washing incident, the whole thing, not eating the pie. I mean, Poppy just played a much bigger role in the arc of the whole, obviously, of the season, but just in Seinfeld lore, I can't disrespect Poppy. I'm gonna go Poppy to move on over the 12 seed.
Well, not so fast. We may have another tiebreaker situation here. I'm not as big on Poppy as a lot of other people are, including my partner here. He loves Poppy. I like Poppy early. I don't like Poppy coming back with the couch. I don't like Poppy. They bring him back for finale. A little too much Poppy in my book. I'm not as big on Poppy as everyone else seems to be. And you know, the Revelations it's fresh in my mind. We just spoke with Carissa Stiegel, who played the wonderful girlfriend of George there.
Poppy's dead. We can't interview him. That's not fair.
Well, like a fair enough point on that, but I mean, come on. I'm going with the overall, breath of the scene of the place. You love that guy. You love the old man. You're 20 minutes late. That guy's great. One line, this guy, and he nails it. They let your parents, let you have a party at home. The guy's a great owner. I'd love to shop in that place. It's down in Queens, probably at Astoria or something like that. He's got a little shop in there, selling the antiques. They got an eye for the good spots. I mean, 12-5 upsets happen. Let's see what Schmidt's got there, though. But I'm gonna go the antique store.
All right. Yeah. I mean, yes, that's a great scene there with Sylvia coming in and her dad's like, "Where have you been?" A lot of good stuff there too. But I just think, overall for the arc of the show, I think Poppy's is more central and more prevalent. So I got to go with that. I got to go with Poppy's on this one.
Fair enough. Gave it a shot. I said my piece.
And yeah, as we move on, we could go into more reasons why Poppy's is as he faces other teams going forward. So
I know we're live. I just got to ask a question to my partners here. When I switch tabs, is that going on the screen or is the bracket staying up? Because I have a few tabs open on my desktop. I don't know what I'm showing.
Bracket's up. We're good. We're looking good. We're looking good.
All right, Schmidt.
All right.
All right, so
4-13.
Tony, are you taking the first one for Schnitzer's Bakery versus Flaming Globes of Sigmund?
Yeah, I'll take this 413. I mean, O'Hara's right. I am the committee. I did make the bracket. I had to throw some fake movies in there. I think Flaming Globes is an early Larry David cameo. With the whole thing there and the glasses and the suit. The Flaming Globes of Sigmund. I mean, it's a solid deep cut. I think it fits well in the 13 seed. Schnitzer's Bakery is an interesting one because it's mentioned, and correct me if I'm wrong, keep me honest here, fellas, but I believe it's mentioned in the rye. The people go over to get the bit, to get their rye bread. But I think it's also it's said without said that it's also in the dinner party. Now, I don't think it is different outside. I know a lot of these Seinfeld trivia people will get us on that, but it's kind of tied in there. But we're going to go with the rye episode, I think, to keep it fair. People take buses to get this thing. I love that, the spite, and they get to get the rye back and the whole thing there. Give me the rye old bag. A lot tied into this rye bread, right? I love the drive home. The parents bicker. You don't put out a piece of cake. We're sitting there like idiots. Always love that line. This is a tough one, but I think in the 4 spot, it might be a little high. But I'm going to go Schnitzer's Bakery here as the 4 seed to advance.
Okay, yeah, and just for people who don't know, Flaming Globes of Sigmund, that's a science fiction B movie title. So that going up against Schnitzer's Bakery. Chris, what do you got? What's your choice here?
Yeah, listen, Tony made a good point. We're thinking of Catherine Cates. May she rest in peace. Wonderful actress. One of our earliest guests. How about some Scram? The whole thing. Box of Scram. Listen, I got issues with the committee here. Schnitzer's Bakery, 4 seed. With that said, I got to move it along. Is it going to be Poppy's next round? I don't know. 4 a little high for Schnitzer for me. Tony loves the rye. Probably top 5 episode for him.
That's high.
And Flaming Globes. Yeah, you'd think I'd go a little, season, what was it, season 2 or season 3? But, fuck it. Flaming Globes of Schnitzer just doesn't bring enough for me. We'll go 13 seed. Larry David's first appearance, essentially. I'm gonna throw that in a bone. So Schmidt, what do you got?
All right, Flaming Globes of Sigmund. I never knew why Jerry found that funny when he had to write it down. I really don't care for it. I think Schnitzer's Bakery should move on, and it shouldn't be confused with the Royal Bakery, which is where I believe they went to in the dinner party. So. Marble Rye, that episode in Schnitzer's Bakery, it moves on. So
okay.
Let's scroll down to the number 6 to the number 11 matchup. And Chris, we'll get your opinion on who's winning this matchup.
Yeah, this is easy for me. I don't even know how to pronounce it, but Vernitzi's Clothing, obviously the half-off suit, the suit that swishes, the whole thing. I mean, what a scene, for an unadvertised sale, honey. The whole thing. Christine Dumford, friend of the show, was on with us, as well as the other guy. I'm trying to back on his name. But a loaded episode. Clark McGarbage as well as I know all you Pink Hat Putty fans are going to love that. Not so fast. The 11 seed moves on.
Well, not so fast because I'm going to give the Pink Hats a bone on this one because I do like this. For Putty, this is Putty. I mean, this is one of my favorite Putties. I love him and Kramer dynamic. We got Clarkman. It's great line by Putty. Mechanic, knows mechanical things. He can fix anything. That's a typo. He's just sitting there. The phone rings. I mean, this is, if you're a Putty fan, this got to be top of the list of Putty appearances. The old Clarkman. I hate the episode. I hate the episode with a passion. I can't stand it. I don't like Kramer in the shower. I don't like the whole thing there. However, I think if you want to see Putty advance in this thing in some way, shape, or form, this might be the way to do it. If I know my producer the way I think he does, he might be leaning here as well. He's a Putty guy through and through. This is 11 up seed on the Ritzneys. I just think they don't push the Ritzneys enough. But as I'm saying it, I mean the whole episode revolves around that store, like O'Hara said, Dumford and the other guy that we talked to, Bob. His name was Bob. Yeah, it's a tough one. I'm gonna go Clarkman garbage disposal 6 seed, and we'll leave it up to producer on a tiebreaker here.
All right, wow, you guys are making me work. So Clark, like you said, Tony, I am a Putty guy. And I love that scene, where Putty's just sitting there on his couch, not doing anything, and phone rings and he answers, and he knows it's Kramer. And of course that line, what do you got there, Clarkman? But Renitzi's, I mean, a lot of great stuff happens there too. A lot of great guests on our show from that episode. And it's this one is a tough one because my initial thoughts was Clarkman, and I think I want to stick with it. So I'm going to move it along to Clarkman garbage disposal.
All right.
All right.
Moving along. Not happy.
Sorry, Chris. So, Tony, you're going to start off with the Bro and Manzier versus the Wizard Pocket Computer.
Yeah, I mean, the Bromans here in the 3 spot. Some might argue they could be higher. I mean, the Wizard, I do love. Hey, Helen, I can take it to the restaurant and figure out the tips. Great line by Morty, and it never gets old. Sacramento Seniors screwed me, the whole thing there. But listen, a late season episode with the parents. Up and Frank and Kramer with Sid Farkas, summer nights, right there is all we need. We talked to the man, great man. For me, it's a 3 seed easy.
All right, Chris, what do you got there? What's your pick?
It's funny, when I first saw the pocket computer, I thought it was the thing Kramer got from the bank and they threw out with Testikov.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have won either. So either way, yeah, this is pretty simple, easy one to push through. Bro and Manzier.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I'm more of a Willard guy, so Bro and Manzier moves on. All right, so Chris, this one we'll start with you. Edie Gromit, that's where George wants to be a bra salesman versus the Worthy Rent-A-Car, where Jerry tries to rent a car, and of course they don't have his reservation. So what's your pick here?
Wow, this is the tough one. Obviously Bro Manzier just push it through. Mrs. Grandma, I mean, Sid Farkas running out of that office by the elevator. It doesn't really get much better than that. To see a grown man run like that and then fire George. And obviously, Sid Farkas. What can we tell you? But Worthy Rent-A-Car, man. I mean, there's scenes, and then there's scenes, and that rental car scene is an all-timer. We've all been there, quite frankly. Not all of us have worked for a bra salesman. We've had interviews like that to some degree, I guess. But I'm going to go with the 10 seed here. I think Worthy Rent-A-Car is just that special of a scene and situation. Now, I know it's a rental car. Do I remember it as Worthy Rent-A-Car? Does that pop in my head? Probably not. But I'm moving it on anyway. So 10 seed.
Okay. All right. Tony, what's your pick here?
Yeah, it's interesting the comedy minute at the end, and as O'Hara mentioned at the top, for those just joining us, yes, I am the committee. When I mentioned the committee left something off or the seating, that's why it's a 10 seed. I think that's why I made it a 10 seed, because it doesn't pop, like he said. Worthy Rent-A-Car, no one's going to maybe possibly know what that is, but when you say, the reservation scene, I mean, it's an all-timer, like O'Hara said. So that's the 10 seed placement, I think. I think Edie Gromit, like we just mentioned, the whole bra stuff there. 2 loops in the front, the 2 cups in the back, vice versa. But I'm gonna go. I'm going to go with O'Hara on this one. I think it's a 10-7 upset. I think there's enough there in one scene with that lady and the whole. I'm going to go back there and I'm going to talk as if I'm doing something. Oh, yeah. And then you say this, the whole thing with Elaine and Jerry. Pretzels are making me thirsty, namesake. So on this one. Upset.
All right, there, folks. Worthy Rent-A-Car. Moving on. Let's go to 2 versus number 15. We got Joe's Fruit versus the Pemmico. Wait, the
Petromaco
Corp. The Robot Butcher. So this is early. This is going way back to season 1, the stock tip. So what do you got here, Chris? What's your pick?
I thought I was first.
Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah. The Robot Butcher, the stock tip right at the end there. George gets another tip, some sort of Robot Butcher. Great line. It's a 15 seed for a reason. It's going against a juggernaut. I mean, Joe's Fruit, I think a 2 seed is fair. Some may argue a 1. People out there, I think, maybe sleeping on Joe's Fruit possibly. But, folks, it's an all-timer. You're banned from the store, the whole thing there. This is easy for me. I had to get Petrocorp in there though, because I do like the way George has the tip and he slips it in. Robot Butcher. No idea what it is, but it sounded good. Joe's Fruit 2 seed.
All right, Chris, what do you got? What's your pick here?
Yeah, let's move along, Joe. There's no need to add anything else onto that.
All right, Joe, moving on. No upset there. All right. So now we're down here to the Mehlman bracket. Round 1, we got number 1, Kramerica Industries versus Drexler's Funeral Home. At Drexler's Funeral Home, that's going back to season 2, I believe, where Manya had passed away. Jerry remarked that he didn't like ponies and hated anybody who did. So that's where the funeral was held. So what do you got here? Chris, we'll start with you. What do you got?
Very interesting. When I saw a funeral home, I didn't know which one. Thanks for explaining that, producer Chris. It could have been the Susie. I didn't know what it was. And Drexler, hey, maybe Clyde Drexler. Probably Larry David's a fan of him. I don't know. I'm a fan of Clyde Drexler. And guess what, baby? We're going with the upset because the pony remark and the softball, the whole thing, I loved it. And Kramerica, I know Pink Hats love it. Never a big fan of it. I'm going with the upset here with the 16 seed. I think Kramerica is a little overrated, especially as a 1 seed. So I'm going early here. Let's go with the funeral home.
Wow, yeah. I knew that would get into O'Hara's crawl a bit there as the 1 seed. I know he's not a huge fan of Kramerica. I think after season 6, he's gonna poo-poo. We all know it. But I mean, Darren may or may not get game of chicken. I mean, real go-getter there, that kid. Listen,
as bad as it's ever gotten. Sorry. I mean,
listen. You didn't even know what Drexler's was 5 minutes ago. Now you're popping it to the top, okay? Let's all calm down a bit. But she does say Drexler's. They say he's going to hang out at Ocean Parkway at Drexler's funeral home. Listen, the Pony Remark's an old-timer. I'm not arguing that. It's a 16 seed because of the kind of obscure ambiguity of it. That's the word I can't say. Listen, I'd love to see a 16-1 upset. But I'm gonna put this on Schmidt if he wants an upset on this one because I got to go Kramerica. America itself, I think, is behind me on this one, which O'Hara, of course, is going to poo-poo. But that's why we're here, folks. We're analysts. So Schmidt, it's your call here. Who moves on?
Well, 16 seed has happened before. It there has been an upset in the real tournament. So, but not in this case. Kramerica will move on. A tighter game than it should have been, but Kramerica survives.
Took it to overtime.
All right, so Tony, you're going to start us off with this 8 versus 9. I like this one. The executive raincoat created by Morty versus Paisano Pizza. What do you got?
Yeah, this is a great 8-9 matchup. This is what 8-9s are all about. I think this is kind of head to head here. Both have similar vibes. Later. I think this executive is postseason 5, I believe. And listen, we talked to the guy at the calzone shop. Hell of a guy. Nor rain nor sleets or snow. First one. Kramer with the whole thing there, cooking a shirt. The executives got a lot going on too, right? I mean, it's just a really, really good matchup. I'm going to lean a little bit towards the calzone on this one. I like George and Newman's dynamic. I like the Yankee stuff thrown in there. The whole thing with Steinbrenner. I think there's enough there. It's a hard one though. This is not a gimme. This is a toss up. This is a flip of a coin. I'm going Paisanos though.
All right, Chris, what's your take on this matchup?
First off, shout out to Andy Royd, who just threw us a bone on the chat. Thank you for being a listener.
Oh, shit. Thank you, dude.
And, listen, as Tony says, this is a tough one. This isn't a tough one. The executive easily wins this one. I mean, Morty, getting the raincoats, Klompus, Rudy's. I mean, are you kidding me? The one little pizza place.
One little pizza place.
Hold on, here's the issue.
A tip in.
There's too many pizza
they go
places.
There back a few times.
You got the Frogger. You got the Van Buren boys. The Paisanos. It's nice, but this is Morty. This is your boy. I mean, I don't know if he's wearing some sort of pink hat tonight, folks, but let's go executive. Schmidt, help me out here.
All right. So, yes, this is now a tiebreaker here. And listen, I love Paisano's Pizza. I love we interviewed Peter Alice. He played Mario, the behind the counter there. And I love his line there. What the hell do I know about cooking a shirt?
Yeah. By the way, this not to butt in too much. You don't like the close talker stuff, talker this, talker that. So just throwing that out there too. But all right, continue. I do love Morty.
So, having said that, I think the executive raincoat has a better story arc. Involves a lot more people. Kramer, like you said, Klompus, and getting the jackets up here, and it's Rudy's. So I think the executive moves on.
Fair enough.
Very smart move right there.
All right. So now we got over here. We got Chris. We're going to start with you again on this one. Play Now versus the Gladiator Gym.
God.
For people who don't know Gladiator Gym, that's where Izzy Mandelbaum works out. So,
Tony's killing me on these.
What? What am I killing you on? What am I killing you on?
Play
That was a
Now.
tough one.
I
That was
tell you,
a
this
tough
is-
one.
You know what? I didn't love George working there, but I like. Man, I can't even talk myself into this one. You know what? What the hell? Mandelbaum's 12.
Whoa! Look who's talking now. Oh,
Like, listen, there's certain companies, Pendant. Where did I think you have it on here where Kramer worked later. Play Now just never captured me. You know what I mean? So for that reason alone, and obviously it's just the end of the run. Like, what are we doing? George and the little thing and the whole climbing through the thing. And so, and I know people love Mandelbaum, incredible comedian. I will throw him a bone. The 12 moves on for me.
all right, Tony, that's a big upset here. So are you going with it, or you save and Play Now?
listen, he makes some good points there. One could argue Play Now as a 5 seed is preposterous, and I'm the one who made the bracket. So, but he wasn't there for one day. I think that's why it has some pull. To Howard's point, it's not great. It's a late season. I'm in my office. That's pretty good stuff. Didn't love the running with the thing like O'Hara mentioned. I'm going upset here as well. I think there's enough in the Gladiator Gym Izzy Mandelbaum stuff. To O'Hara's point, Play Now is not the company that's at the forefront of all the companies these people have all worked at. I kind of agree with that point, a solid point. And I think, even though it's a later season, I think the Mandelbaums, you say Mandelbaum and even non-pink hats like us are going to kind of jump a little bit on that one. So Mandelbaum's workout facility 12 seed advances.
Wow, even I'm surprised by that. So, all right. Tony, we're sticking with you. Rudy's Vintage Clothing, where the executive is being sold, versus Friends of Clyde. Now, people who don't know Friends of Clyde, obscure reference, again, going back to season 2, the Pony Remark. That's the softball team that Jerry's on. He's wearing their jersey in that episode. So what do you got here, Tony?
Yeah, listen, this is for a 413. This is a tough one. I mean, this could have been easily an 8 and 9. Either one of these could be higher. I think the 13 slot for Frenzo Clyde is really for what Schmidt just mentioned. It's never mentioned. We don't even know what it is. I'm assuming it's a bar, but I mean, we don't really ever, get our teeth sunk into it, but it's present throughout this episode, right? The Jerry comes home and the whole thing there, and then wearing it again at the end. I mean, he's wearing that jersey, and it looks good. And it's interesting too. He throws righty, Jerry, huh? Even though I think he writes lefty. Anyway, Rudy's. I mean, R.I.P. We had him on as well. Just a great guy there. And we've brought him up a few times already in this bracket. George the whole high bowl game bowling. This is a real tough one for me. I just always, since the day I saw Frenzo Clyde, whenever that aired in 1991 or whatever it was, and correct us on the facts. We're flying by the seat of our pants here, folks. I don't have any notes. I don't have anything up on the screen. I'm just going memory, but it was early 90s. From the time I saw it once to the time I saw it 100 times, Frenzo Clyde is embedded in my brain. I'm going 13 over 4 in this one.
All right. Another upset in the making here. Chris, what do you got here?
Incredible points. I should have worn it. I have the Frenzo Clyde shirt. It's incredible. I mean, Jordan is so tight on it. It's like, old school 90s, tight, not buttoned down, right? It's just quintessential softball. And there's something about that. There's a purity to that. God damn. Haggerty, all-time favorite. I mean, may he rest in peace. He's the type of guy you just want to go have a beer with, and he epitomizes that in Rudy's Vintage Clothing. But I'm with Tony here. Frenzo Clyde moves on.
All right, we got back-to-back upsets here. All right, so no going any further into that one. I like this matchup, 6 versus 11 here. Reggie's Diner versus Collector's Universe. That's the place where Kramer wanted to go sell the interoffice envelope that had all the Yankees signatures on it. So, Chris, staying with you here, what's your pick in this round here?
I tell you, the committee is doing a real wonder on me here. I can't stand either of these two. Not that I can't stand them, but they wouldn't have moved on against Frenzo Clyde or Rudy's. But be that as it may, Reggie's is an interesting one. Obviously they use it in the opposite thing with the friends, and they go eat there, and Kramer's dating a girl from Reggie's, and it has its place for sure. Am I wowed by it? No. May they win this matchup? Potentially. Stubbs is kind of a one-off. Like, it's a good episode. What was it? The episode with the wink and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, and that was the guy. Stubbs is the guy from what's that movie, Schmidt, in the 80s? Teen Wolf, I believe.
No,
Oh, that's not Stubbs. That's the other one with the pencil.
Chubbs.
Right. And I'm mixing up those stores. So if I'm mixing up those
Oh,
stores,
yeah, you're thinking of the stationary guy.
yeah.
Right?
So if I'm mixing up those stores,
okay, yeah. Okay, that guy, Styles.
Styles. If I'm mixing up the stores, Stubbs ain't moving on. Reggie's Diner with the win here.
All right, so we got one for Reggie's. Tony, what do you got here? What's your pick?
Yeah, I'm going to make this one a little quicker. I will say this: you got Rudy's, you got the record store, and you got Stubbs. Those are kind of three of Kramer's places that he kind of New York City knows about vintage kind of things. This is the least of those by far. We just talked about Rudy's. We'll get to the record store. Stubbs ain't making the cut here. I think this was a clean 6-11, by the way. I think the committee did a good job on this one, and you proved my point. Reggie's moves on.
All right, Reggie's moving on. All right, this is very interesting. From earlier seasons, Sagman, Bennett, Robbins, Oppenheim, Taft. We know that because Jerry tried to remember it to meet Vanessa at her place of business versus Lasky's Bar. That's where Rick Bar Properties had their celebrations for having a good quarter. So, Tony, what's your pick here?
Listen, this is a really hard one. Talking about a hard one. I don't know what 314 I was thinking on this one. This is crazy. I mean, a lot of pink hats may be yelling at me right now because even pink hats love Sagman, Ben, and Robbins, Ivor, Taft. I don't know how many of them love Lasky's, but I think me and my partner got a soft spot for Lasky's for sure. This is the place where they have, as Spin mentioned, where you know the Mickey's slipped. This is where they celebrate the previous thing we did there with where George worked. Listen, this is a real hard one. I mean, this is not easy. I think Elaine delivers at Lasky's. I think George delivers at Lasky's. You know, the week comes off, the whole thing there, naked. I mean, half the episode is at Lasky's, for crying out loud. Now, Sagman, Bennett, Roberts, Ivor, Taft, for sure. You know, we got Vandelay mentioned early, the whole thing there. I'm going Lasky's Bar, 14 seed on this one.
Wow. All right. Chris, what's your take here? We got another upset brewing.
Yeah, this this kind of reminds me of back to our secondary character bracket. And it's probably not going to make sense, but Lasky's Bar's got a little ping in it. You know what I mean? Like just that one you root for at a 14 seed. And it's something about, again, I've been to a Lasky's Bar. Like Schmidt made the point celebrating the quarter. I don't even know if that was true, but a nice take. You know, great quarter.
It was an anniversary. I don't remember.
Who knows what?
Something like that.
Yeah.
But the point is, they were celebrating how you blew that McConnell deal. I mean, you know, our little shrimpy friend. I mean, you know, listen. I didn't pick Rick Bar Properties in this, but I am going with the sweep here. Lasky's Bar easily moves on.
All right. Wow. Quite a few upsets so far in this one bracket here, this section. So let's move on. And Chris, your favorite muffin tops versus prognosis negative. What do you got here?
Yeah, and I think, you know, everyone watching live right now in America, I know what they're going to pick. I know it's top of the muffin, but I can't do it. You know I can't do it. I don't care what was up against it. I don't think anything could move top of the muffin on. You know, maybe Putty's dealership. I don't think we ever got the name of that place. But prognosis negative. I'm not knocking prognosis negative here. Prognosis negative. Like, there were some fun moments, a lot of mentions of it. I see Eric, our boy. I know he was going to go atop of the muffin. I'm a big fan of the show. But the 7 seed will move on here for me.
All right. Tony, weigh in here. 7 moving on also, or you got muffin tops?
7 moving on also. I'm not going to add much to it. O'Hara knows my stance. I think top of the muffin to you belonged in the bracket. I will say that. I think a 10 seed is also fair. But it's not beating prognosis negative. I mean, that's an all-timer for me. I believe Larry David had a script that he wrote with a movie called Prognosis Negative. I believe. Fact check me on that, trivia buffs out there. But yeah, Prognosis Negative. No upset here. 7 seed moves on.
Very good. So that means a number 2 seed versus a number 15. Blame It on the Rain. That's a movie title. Elaine's going to see it because she can't with her date and runs into Jerry. And Jerry's able to get to the ticket, get tickets to the movies that sold out, and then he goes to Lane. Well, enjoy Blame It on the Rain. And that's going up against Penske. Now, yeah, don't confuse this Penske with the actual rental truck Penske, which is spelled with an E at the end. Chris, what's your pick here? Or actually, Tony, I'm sorry, we stay with you.
Yeah, listen, I understand people might be yelling right now, what's Penske? Is Penske even? Yeah, Penske's a thing. You got Arthur Penske, of the Penske file. We're going to understand that there must be a company called Penske, right? It's a thing here where we're dealing with Penske, okay?
Well, you're not Penske material.
Right. I mean, I'm just hearing some people chirping probably like, oh, what is Penske? Because I debated this one a little bit because we never really get a company involved. It's Arthur Penske, it's the Penske file. But listen, we got enough meat on this bone to call it a fake company. I think that George may go work for, right? Because he's Penske material. I put everything in an accordion folder. One of the best George lines of all time. I do have a little office. Keep in mind. Listen, this is a no-brainer. I know Pink Hats do love Blaming on the Rain. The whole thing there with the hot chick. But come on, this is a 215. Penske moves on.
All right, Chris. So what's your thoughts here?
Penske moves on.
Absolutely. I think that's a no-brainer as well. So we'll discuss more about it later on. All right, the Tommy Cherones bracket. Wow, Pendant Publishing. I think everybody's familiar with that one, and that is going up against WFBB, Big Band Radio Station, which is from the season 6 episode Mom and Pop Store. Elaine wins tickets for Mr. Pitt, and she goes to an event that's hosted by the radio station to go see the Thanksgiving Day Parade. So number 1 versus 16. Chris, what do you got here? What's your pick?
Yeah, listen, I have we don't have a soft spot. I have a soft spot for local radio. Okay, let's put it that way. I don't think this guy should be a 16 seed. This brings me back, contest you call up. I'll never forget. I think it was the Sports Guys 1027. I called up. I won Yankee World Series tickets against the Diamondbacks. I remember calling Mike and the Mad Dog, trying to win tickets to the Super Bowl. I remember I was one question away and I couldn't get the audio. For all you guys that remember the audio, Mike and the Mad Dog, really tough. With that said, Pendant Publishing. Lippman, the co-workers, we speak to plenty of them. Pendant moves on.
All right, and Tony, over to you. What's your pick here?
Yeah, Pendant's a 1 seed for a reason. Listen, you put anything up against this, it probably was going to lose to Harris Point with seed. And I'm not. Everyone knows I'm not a huge Pitt guy. Yeah, Pendant Publishing, easy win.
I do like it when Mr. Pitt does that next stop Pottersville dance.
See that for me, I can't. That's
but I do agree. No, but I
agree.
Do agree. Pendant.
I agree, Schmidt. That is funny. Tony hates. He hates.
All right. So now we got Plaza Cable versus Now We're Cooking. And Tony, you're gonna do this one. You're gonna start off with this matchup.
Yeah, this is a classic 8-9 matchup in my book. I think these two are on the same level. Late seasons, kind of out there stuff. Things I know my partner despises, and I'm right there pretty much with him.
Tony, just so we know, what's Now We're Cooking for the audience?
Yeah, Now We're Cooking is Kramer, the food service that he subscribes to. It's a play on words to get faxed menus for all the restaurants in the city every day, and he gives them Elaine's phone number to do so, which prompts Elaine to then change her number, I believe. And Schmidt, keep me honest on that one. Because exactly. She goes in his ear, which is why I'm picking the 9 seed on this one. Actually, I like that dynamic. Listen, we've always said this. As much as Kramer gets silly, he still sticks to who he is, and he's crazy and kooky and just assumed Elaine had a fax machine, right? And just signed up for this thing. And sure enough, of course, it backfires. And she does the in his ear, gives me a chuckle. I'll take that any day of the week over the Plaza Cable baloney running around the city there. So now we're cooking for me. Nine seed.
All right. Chris, over to you. What's your thoughts on this matchup?
My thought is, what's the expression? Pick your poison. I mean, these are two 16 seeds, in my opinion. If I heard Tony say "yeah" one more time, I was exiting this live feed. As bad as it gets, and that's who Kramer always is. No. I mean, what are you kidding me? I mean, this is like, I almost think it's like now we're cooking. It's almost like the slicer, like him and Elaine together in the later seasons, unwatchable. Now,
Gotta pick one.
I know, and I always go Plaza Cable, but I like that guy a little bit. You know, HBO, he's on the phone. You know, do I like the chasing scene? No. But Plaza Cable as an entity, I respect. I'm going with the 8 seed.
All right, so this is a tiebreaker situation. See, now I'm thinking like Plaza Cable. Yes, we all have dealt, back in the day, or even still now, that customer service, like
relatability, Schmidt. Relatability.
Yes. But then the Plaza Cable name itself is just too generic. Now you're cooking. Like Tony said, it's a play on words, and Kramer signed up for the whole year, so he's going to get all of them. Yeah, I never really cared for the Plaza Cable stuff that goes on either. I'm going to go with Tony on this one. Push it through. It's not going to survive the next round anyway. Let's just be it at that and go on to the next matchup here.
Now, I'm not keeping score, but I think Schmidt is 4-1 with Tony so far. Let's
all right.
You pulled this last time with and he ended up going the other way.
And then I started going the other way. Right. All right. So, Chris, here we got Brant Leland Financial versus the Reggae Lounge. The Reggae Lounge is mentioned, I believe, in the Nose Job episode. So what do you got here?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Reggae Lounge, it's fun, it's nice. It's not Brant Leland. I mean, Kramer's there working, crackers,
Wow.
Old man Leland. There's no wow here. I mean, there's
a wow here for you, Brent Leland, Kramer. We're talking late episode over good Kramer with the Reggae Lounge. Come on.
Well, I mean, what I got the stamp. Okay, I'm
sure you've done that.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's nice, but I think Kramer working and him coming home late and those discussions. Old man Leland. That line always gets me. Kramer wearing a suit, going in the subway. I like that music montage. That's Kramer. Well, now we're cooking. I'm not even going back there, but Brant Leland, I think, deserves to move on.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Tony, over to you. What's your pick here?
Wow. Yeah. No, listen, I agree with you. I just didn't think I would be agreeing with that. I thought I'd be pleading my case here because I think it's a great Kramer. As I brought up all those lines, great lines. TCB, Old Man Leland, really busting my hump. The whole thing. I think that's a clean win for a 5 over a 12 there.
Yeah, I thought there was no contest here, so that definitely goes forward. All right. Interesting matchup here. We got Rochelle versus 13th seed Champagne Video. So, Tony, staying with you here. Who's your pick?
Yeah, this is actually a no-brainer for me. I got to go chalk. I don't think I could even make a case for Champagne Video. I think there's some good scenes in there, George, and I believe doesn't he return Rochelle at Champagne Video Store? Now that I'm talking it through, I believe he does.
So
that's interesting. But I'm going Rochelle. Just the whole thing there, a young girl's journey from Milan to Minsk, and just really the initial Rochelle is what I like. Now, O'Hara may argue when it's his chance here that they maybe played out Rochelle, which I tend to agree with. The whole thing there with the musical and Bette Midler, which I know my partner hates. But I think the core of Rochelle stands. I think the movie poster and Larry David's voice over in the movie with George in it is enough to get it past this round for me. Rochelle.
Yeah, so with Rochelle, yeah, George returns the tape, didn't rewind it, keeps it, but then ends up losing it, has to go back there to Champagne Video to pay the outrageous fee. Yeah, Champagne Video does appear in several episodes, just like Rochelle is mentioned in a couple too. So Chris, what's your pick here?
I'm pretty shocked that he was so quick to dismiss Champagne Video. I believe Tony worked at a video store himself.
I did work at a video store, yes.
And if you know my partner, he talks a lot about, Seinfeld's a time capsule, right? From this period to this period, it was foundational, and video stores was part of that time capsule. I mean, if you don't have a soft spot for that, and you grew up and lived in the 90s, I don't know what's, yeah. So I think not only that episode, the rewind thing, and then obviously Susan became a lesbian, and I believe Breakfast at Tiffany's, right?
Yep.
Champagne Video is foundational to the show, Now, I don't think it's part of the bad one when Elaine is like going out with the kid, right, who works there. That's not Champagne Video. I don't think. Maybe it is.
I think it is Vincent that works there.
All right. I thought a Pink Hat's a bone there, too. I'm going to go Champagne Video. I just think a lot happened there. Rochelle, yeah. And again, when you say Rochelle, I'm thinking the original. I'm not thinking Bette Midler.
Right.
I'd love to have her.
Which I think is enough to carry it. And I get all your points. I think those are valid points. Maybe I was too quick. I gave it a good thought. I mean, I took Rochelle, but you made some good points too. Hey, listen, it's
hold on. Can I make my choice? Or are you going to keep talking? What's it going to go over there? So listen, did I say? I think I said, 13 moves on. I think it's a good matchup. I'll give you that. But I was shocked knowing that you poo-pooed Champagne Video. But Schmidt, what do we got?
So, yeah, again, the tiebreaker here. And I think this is two good, matchups here. Now, Rochelle, I think, just when you say it, it elicits a chuckle. It's just fun to say. Champagne Video, again, that's a name that could be lost on its own. But a lot of good things do happen at the video store. In season 1, they're there with Jerry and Elaine, and she points out the adult film stuff. Again, talked about George, taking Rochelle back to Champagne Video. Again, Joe Temple, that's where he finds his address. George finds Joe's address to go see Breakfast at Tiffany's. And then in the comeback, I believe that's where Gene and Vincent.
What's your pick, Schmidt?
Yeah, what are we doing here?
I'm going with Champagne Video.
All right.
13 over a 4. The video store I worked at, we had an adult section. My first day of the job, I had to organize it all. It took me about 7 hours.
And there's only 3 movies.
Yeah, I had to put them in alphabetical order, line it up, the same amount on every shelf. It looked fucking perfect. It wasn't only, we had a back section. It wasn't only for those. Anywho, move on here.
All right, so Chris, we'll stay with you here. Beefarino versus Nakahama Broadcast Company. All right, what's your pick here?
Yeah, Tony's doing a lot of season 7 and ons here, which is interesting. And I'm actually curious if we did a breakdown. Was there more fake companies? I'm curious by season how many fake companies there are. That could, you fans out there.
Some overlap too, more episodes, but it's a good premise. I can go back. And check the numbers.
Beefarino, Nakahama Broadcast. That's the oranges thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Happy hour.
terrific happy. Yeah, listen, I'm gonna go Beefarino. Obviously, it's in a more iconic episode, the rye. Um, Kramer doing the whole thing with the horse, of course, we love. Uh, Beefarino moves on. I think this is a pretty easy one.
Look who, hi. Look who's coming around to the rye. Yeah, Beefarino advances easy for me. We all know I'm a huge fan of the rye episode, and Kramer sings the song, the whole thing there. That's an easy one for me. I think Nakahama may have been seated a little high, to be honest with you, now that I'm talking it through, but 6 seed moves on.
All right. Yeah, I agree with that. All right. Sack Lunch with his a fictional movie versus the Policeman Benevolent Association Orchestra, which was headed or conducted by the maestro, Bob Cobb. So, Tony, which one you going with here?
This is a tough one for me, to be honest with you. I know some people might be just screaming. Obviously, it's Sack Lunch just because it's so funny. Listen, we got a soft spot for both of these people. Tim Kaiser, producer, friend of the show, was his family is the family in the Sack Lunch, in the bag. That's his family, picture of his family. He told us the whole story. Check that episode out. When Jerry says he conducts the policeman benevolent, when he says that line about Bob Cobb, I lose it every time. The guy takes himself so seriously, and Jerry's just like, what is he doing? It's a very Queens thing, some just low level, orchestra. That said, though, I got to go Sack Lunch. I mean, how'd they get in there? The whole thing there. I know it's a bad episode and kind of a late season and that sort of thing, but it's got enough juice. Story behind it gives it a push. Maybe it shouldn't, but it does. 3 seed for me.
All right. So, Chris, what's your thoughts here? What do you think about this matchup?
All good points by my partner there. I got to agree. I got to be consistent. We went on the podcast with the fellows, the Saints and the Cowboys, the football podcast, and I bumped up Sack Lunch, so I got to stick with it. So the 3 seed moves on.
All right. All right. Number 7 versus number 10 seed. Commando 450 Showerhead versus Leapin' Larry's, the electronics store. So, Chris, what do you got here? What's your pick?
Oh, God. There's a lot of bad matchups. Just for the next time, I'm going to be on this committee. Just so
you make the bracket there, buddy. Go ahead, make the bracket. I'll see if you.
But I think part of my partners try to needle me a little bit here. I appreciate it. This is fun. So I know he hates Leapin' Larry's, but there's something about Leapin' Larry's that sticks in your head, right? The commercial, his foot falls asleep. It's corny and stupid, but to me, the showerhead would roll with the hairs, commando. Like, I don't know. I guess it is memorable, but it's funny when you say commando. For some reason, I'm thinking the air conditioner. I know it's not, but I
can't believe the air conditioner's not on here. It is on here, right? It's somewhere in here,
no,
right?
It's not.
I left the air conditioner out.
That's okay. So
wow, see that committee, big oversight.
Yeah, first thought. So you know what? I'm gonna go leave.
Are you sure I left it out, guys? No, it's not in here, really.
Not in here.
I'm losing my mind. Why didn't you guys tell me?
Let's just focus on
the
Get back to the 7 and 10 here. I'm gonna go Leapin' Larry's. I know Tony hates Leapin' Larry. He didn't like Jerry doing commercials, and Jerry's a quasi New York celebrity, and it kind of reminds me of the old Crazy Eddie, Leapin' Larry. So there's something there that touches me. So the 10 seed moves on.
All right. So Tony.
Well, I think this may go tiebreaker. This is the 10-7 matchup. This just went into overtime. The 10 seed had a big lead, and the 7 came on strong here because all of O'Hara's points. I know what he's trying to do. He's doing the opposite. He's doing the old switcheroo. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Listen, I know he doesn't like Leap and Larry's.
You're a crazy Eddie guy. You love that type of thing.
Fair point. And you know what? There's definitely a correlation there for sure. I'm guessing they had that tied in there for a reason. Crazy Eddie's over there by Pathmark. My mom had a Crazy Eddie hat. My mom used to wear a Crazy
Hey,
Eddie.
all right, let me give you one more. Do you remember? I think it was Spring Valley Highs, where the name is high, but the
price is low.
low.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's going to help sway you here. But
You need me here. I kind of like the crazy Jerry Newman dynamic. It harkens back to the the old Stiffen accountant days when those three get involved a little bit. To Harris' point, though, it's kind of played out a little bit. The black market, the whole thing there. Use it at the circus. The Croats or the Serbs are very fanatic. Listen, I'm talking myself out of Commandos right now because I like the guy, the Leapin' Larry guy, and I like to Harris' point that Jerry gets the little local place that gives the commercial. 10 seed with the upset. I talked myself into it. Leapin' Larry's.
All right. This number 2 versus 15, I think, is going to be pretty much straightforward. Tony, what do you got? Kruger Industrial versus Chunnel, the movie.
Kruger moves on for me. I'm not going to say much else. We'll get there as we move through the bracket. I don't think Chunnel's got enough juice, but I think it was deserved to be in the bracket. That's my take.
All right. And Chris, your thoughts?
Chunnel. What about Death Blow?
It's on there.
It's on there.
Oh, it is. Okay. Yeah. Listen, do I love Kruger? No, but he'll move on to this 2 seed.
Yeah. So no issues there. All right, we're going over now to the Larry Charles division. And number 1, Dinky Donuts versus Skyburger. Those are both restaurants. Dinky Donuts, famous for where Kramer first spotted Joe DiMaggio dunking his donuts. And Skyburger, we go back to the Chinese restaurant. That's where Lane wants to ditch the restaurant to go and get a burger at Skyburger. Mentions it by name. So, Tony, we're going to go with you on this one. What's your choice?
Yeah, 2 old school episodes that hold a dear place in my heart. I mean, I've seen these 2 episodes thousands of times easily. I mean, they got replayed every night, obviously, but saw them live and then just replayed over and over. So Skyburger sticks in your head for that reason. That's the only reason. I mean, it's in one of the most talked about episodes of all time. I'm not getting a bird. Sky, the way she says it, the whole thing there. But come on, folks, it's a 16 seed for a reason. Dinky's is a 1 for a reason. Joe D's dunking his donuts. That's an easy one for me. 1 seed, Dinky Donuts.
All right. And Chris, what's your thoughts here? Any love for Skyburger?
I do have love for Skyburger for sure. Place I'd like to go. Place I'd like to go with Elaine, actually. But, yeah, Dinky, I mean, Joe D, Dinky Donuts. I mean, what's more memorable than that? Yeah, the 1 seed.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so Chris, staying with you. Pretty interesting at 8 versus 9. The Cougar 9000 wheelchair versus Sunshine Carpet Cleaners. I have my favorite here. What's yours?
Yeah, I don't think this is even close. On an 8-9 matchup, it is the Cougar 9000. I mean, Kramer wheeling around, that whole scene with the guy, hands down. Sunshine Carpet, I get it. I like Wilhelm, the whole thing. Later years, I think that was sort of a miss. Pretty bad George. Great George and Kramer. I mean, just classic, obviously, in the handicap spot, as we know. Frank Costanza's first episode. So, yeah, Cougar 9000 moves on.
All right, and Tony, over to you. What's your thoughts here?
Yeah, that's an easy one. And now the committee's upset with itself for putting Cougar in the Dinky bracket this early because I think Cougar's a sleeper in this thing. I mean, that guy is great. That salesman. The whole thing. He's selling that wheelchair. I put Stephen Hawkins in one of these last week. The way he's talking about like it's a used car, unbelievable scene. Anything any more or less expensive by George? So Cougar moves on. That's an easy one.
All right, yeah, it's rated #1 by the Hospital Supply and Prosthetic Magazine. Yeah, it definitely moves on. All right, so next matchup here, we got number 5, the Clapco D29, which is a lock on Jerry's door, versus the Institute for the Preservation of Motion Picture Costumes and Wardrobes. Chris, or actually, Tony, we're staying with you on this one. What do you got here?
Yeah, the IPMPCW. We prefer to call it the Institute. I like that back and forth with Kramer and Harwood. That has a sweet spot for me in that gum episode. I mean, don't sleep on that. Just a little back and forth there. Very well written. The IPMPCW. That said, we all know the Klapko is the most impenetrable lock on the market. He only has one fatal flaw: the door must be closed. Yeah, I mean, when you think fake products in Seinfeld, I think Klapko D29 just jumps out at you, along with the air conditioner that somehow I left off. But we'll go back to that. But they kind of, these things kind of just jump out to you. Like, it just sounds like it should be something. The Klapko D29, right? And that's kind of what this bracket's all about. As much as I love the Institute, 5 seed for me is kind of a no-brainer, if you will.
All right, and Chris, over to you. What do you got in this matchup?
He wrapped that up with a pretty little bow there. I agree on all points. Klapko moves on.
All right. I'm sorry to hear the Institute go, but Klapko, the lock goes on. All right. Number 4 versus 13. All right. J&T Optical versus Carl Farman Furniture. Carl Farman, that was mentioned in the checks episode by Brett's friend is Carl Farman, and JT and Optical. Great guest of the show. Tim Stack is Dwayne in that one. So, Chris, what do you got in this matchup?
This is a no-brainer. J&T Optical, Tim Stack, legendary friend of one of top 5 guests of all time. I mean, from his stories with the Yankees to Howard Stern to Seinfeld. Not that that's swaying me, but first of all, what a great J&T Optical. Mention my name, get the discount. The dog, the biting, the ladies' glasses, just a ton going on. A quintessential New York eye shop. I don't know what the hell they call it. Whatever.
Optician, I think. Or
whatever. Yeah. Yeah. The 4 seed moves on here.
All right, Tony. You agree with that?
I do, and to Howard's point, it's a no-brainer, and I'll let it sway me a little bit. I mean, Tim Stack, as Howard mentioned, all-time guest, great guy, and just a great couple of scenes with Kramer and the whole thing there. They're sucking these things down. I just unbelievable. Mentioned at a discount, ladies' glasses, J&T, easy win over Fardman.
Yeah, I thought that was no upset there. So very good. All right, we got the Human Fund versus Kramer's book. The Astonishing Tales of the Sea. So, Tony, what's your pick here?
Yeah, this is another one I knew Howard would love. Couple of late season, these are some stalwart late season picks, though. I mean, 6'11". There's a pink hat screaming right now. Both of these should be ranked higher or lower. I always say higher, even though it's a lower number, but be that as it may. Listen, this is not an easy one. I think the Human Fund is a good one too. Hold on one second, fellas. I know we're live, but the Human Fund is, I think, the Human Fund, I think, for me, is going to take it over on this one, just because of Costanza, for sure. Human Fund moves on for me.
All right, and Chris, your thoughts here?
I hate them both, but just to move on, let's go with the Human Fund next.
All right, very good. Chris, staying with you then. Ron's Records, number 3 seed versus 14. Death Blow. There's your Death Blow. The movie. So, what do you got here? Talk us through your pick here.
Everyone loves Death Blow, but Ron's Records. I mean, you got to be kidding me. I mean, the negotiation, the records, $5. That Tony talks about this a lot. The dynamic of Newman and Kramer, those two together, and I was in The Old Man, of course, an all-time episode. And the reason it's an all-time episode is because of Ron's records. Ron moves on.
All right. Tony, you agree with that? Any upset here? Tony, are you?
We are
Same.
live,
Yep.
and Tony's frozen in America. There he is.
He's back.
He's muted.
Froze. No, I'm not muted, am I?
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay. Yeah, no, my screen did freeze though. But this is an easy one, so let me just make it quick because I just stalled everyone for a minute. This is no doubt. That death blow, it's in there with the dancing and the whole thing there. Cry again. But come on, guys. Ron's records, easy. Old man's up in the Tobin Bell. I mean, the whole thing there, incredible. Let's move it on.
All right. Death Blow gets the blowout here. So it is gone from the tournament. All right. Number 7, Coleman's Department Store versus Jiffy Park. I think we're all familiar with Jiffy Park. But Coleman's Department Store, that's where Kramer and Mickey play Santa and Elf. So Tony, staying with you. What do you got here?
Yeah, listen, Jiffy Park, kind of a late addition here, the 10 seed playing game. They got in. This is a hard one for me. Jiffy Park, we had a couple of people on both these episodes on the show. I know they shouldn't sway us, but it does. That's why I like to know about it. The whole thing there, to get up with the consumer affairs. We love them. But I think the Kramer and Mickey dynamic at the store, the whole thing with the communism, it's a hell of an episode through and through. It's very Christmassy, everything obviously with Santa. Get your skinny ass out of here. We had that guy on. Just incredible stuff. In a close one, I'm going 7 seed in this one.
All right. Chris, what's your thoughts here? Jiffy Park versus Coleman's.
It's an interesting one, and on principle, I think people might think I'm going to go Coleman's department store. I wonder if that's named after Vince Coleman from, they talk about him on the subway. Who knows? I'll never forget. I remember Campy's probably listening tonight. I think I traded Paul Coleman and didn't tell him which Coleman for someone on his team back in the day. Be that as it may, America loves Jiffy Park. There's shirts about it. 2 big episodes. Haim was incredible. What a guy. I'm going, what's more memorable here? What's a funnier fake name? What's more relatable? Jiffy Park's it. So, Schmid, what do you got for us to break this tie?
Yeah, I mean, great scenes throughout in both of these episodes involving Jiffy Park and Coleman's. That whole, Kramer as Santa, and then Ned shows up and feeds him communism. And then, like Tony mentioned, get your skinny ass out of here. Great line, great delivery. But again, Jiffy Park, yes, everybody loves that guy. We had him on our podcast as a guest, and he was awesome. Not only that, you got Jiffy Dump. He returns back in that episode, the Muffin Tops. But I'm going with Chris on this one because I like the name Jiffy better than just a generic Coleman's. So Jiffy Park will move on in this one. So that's going to bring us to the bottom of the bracket here. Our last matchup of the 64, and that's number 2, the Dream Cafe, owned by Babu Bot, versus Pace Electronics. And for people who don't know Pace, they're the same company that's on the same floor as Rick Barr Properties. And Tony, I think you could go into a little bit more about that with your pick here.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to kick off here.
Yeah.
But I know Tony loves Pace Electronics, but Dream Cafe, Babu, all-timer. We're going to just move on to 2 seed.
Yeah, Dream's going to make it. I do love Pace. I hate sharing bathrooms. When I ever worked in an office in the city, I would have bathrooms scoped out can go to outside of my office, whether it was a bodega or coffee shop, whatever it might be. I could find these other bathrooms to use because I would never like sharing bathrooms. And I'm kind of crazy with that. So I get where George is coming from. But that said, I mean, maybe I should have not put them in a 2-15 matchup, but I did. And Dream Cafe moves on, Babu moves on, and the first round is over. Thanks for bearing with us as we move on to the round of 32.
All right, here we go. We'll get through these a little faster, folks. Keep the comments coming. And who's kicking off for us, Schmidt? We can go back to Tony.
Oh, so Tony just ended that one.
Yep.
So do we want to stay with Tony and go forward with that? All right. So Tony, Hennigan's Scotch versus Rick Bar Properties. What do you got?
Interesting, man. Rick Barr's here. We had Lasky there. We had the Pace Electronic. The Revenge is all over this bracket. Listen, we've been talking about Lasky. We just talked about Pace Electronics. We love Rick Barr. I want to see an upset. We've got a couple here, but I can't go against Hennigan's just yet. I feel like my partner, I don't want to put words in his mouth before he goes. I can see an upset happening here, but I'm going to put Hennigan's through just for Kramer. I know they bring Hennigan's back a lot, which hurts it. I'm talking myself out of this. In fact, I'm talking myself all the way out of this. I'm going Rick Bar Properties. I think the Revenge is amazing. I think everything about this thing is amazing. And I think Hennigan's kind of loses its luster as they bring it back each time, with Jerry with the whole thing there. And then you got Frank drinking it later on. I think it kind of loses something there. If they would have just stuck with it when they needed to stick with it, I think it would have worked. I'm going to go Rick Bar Properties at 8 seed upset here.
Oh, all right. Chris, what do you got? What's your thoughts here?
My thought is that's not an upset. I picked Jimmy Sherman because that was a tough matchup. Hennigan's was against one of the worst episodes of all time, so it kind of just slid through. But Rick Park Properties, I mean, is that Costanza over there? I got tied up last night. I bet you did. I mean, what a guy. What a guy. And listen, I forget, Lasky's might be in the same division or, at least the same side of the bracket. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, Rick Barr moves on. Get out of here, Hennigan's.
Oh, wow. All right. I did not see that coming. So wow. 8 over number 1. We got our first bounce of a top seed. All right. So now that's Poppy's versus Schnitzer's Bakery. Chris, staying with you. What do you got here?
Yeah, I when we were doing this, an hour ago, I looked at this and I knew we'd get back to it, obviously. Schnitzer's is the rye. We know where Tony's going to lean. So we're going to probably put this up to Schmid, producer Chris here. Poppy's is Poppy. I mean, what can I tell you? I mean, Suzanne Snyder. I mean, I know Tony hates Poppy, hates Pitt, hates some of these, like, real strong iconic characters that helped develop the show into what it is today. He hates them. That's okay. But
let's not get carried away.
I mean, the duck. I mean, who makes a better duck than Poppy? Schnitzers, give me a break. Get out of here. Poppy's moves on.
All right. We got one for Poppy. Tony, what's your thoughts on this one? Who you select?
Yeah, I mean, he's building Poppy up like he's like we're talking about Newman or something here. Listen, I'm not poo-pooing Poppy as much as he thinks I am either, but I do love the right episode. And let's not forget our first ever March Madness bracket was best lines, and Give Me the Raul bag won that thing for a reason, folks.
That's a line. It's not a fake company.
But it all ties in. Where'd that rye come from? That rye, the whole episode is called the rye. You got just everything about it. Just the parents eating dinner together. The whole thing.
All right, pick and move on. Pick it and move on.
Let's go, Schmidt. You decide. Schnitzers.
Are you going with Schnitzers?
Yeah,
Yes.
of course he is.
All right. Well, of course he is. Well, I'm thinking, Schnitzers again. That's just confined really to that one episode, whereas Poppy's, has quite a few. Character also makes an appearance in multiple episodes. Love that he got caught, not washing his hands and all that. So going on with Poppies. Let's go. We'll go into more about with it when he has to face against Rick Ball Properties, but Poppy's moving on.
Nice choice.
All right. So, so Tony, let's go down to that 6th seed, Clarkman.
Clarkman versus the Bromanzier. This is kind of easy for me. I did put Clarkman through from the first round, which I really shouldn't have, to be honest with you. Now I'm thinking it through, but either way, the Bromanzier, no brainer.
All right. That means, Chris, what do you got here? Clarkman or the Bro?
Yeah, you know what's interesting about this one? And I'm going to pick number 3, but Bromanzier were more concepts. Like, they never flushed out the name, right?
Fair point. You can argue with the committee on that one if you want. It's not actually a product. It's more of a prototype. I understand where you're coming from there. And it's a fair point.
So, but because I don't like the Clarkman,
Carolina of the bracket, okay?
I will move on the Bro and Manzier.
All right, Bro, moving on. Cool with that. All right, so Worthy Car Rental or versus Joe's Fruit. Chris.
Yeah, here we go. So Worthy's Rent-A-Car. Like I said, you don't remember the name. You see Worthy, you think James Worthy. Old Laker, obviously, North Carolina, the whole thing. Shocked Larry David chose that. Surprised he didn't take a nick. Be that as it may, Joe's Fruit, I don't make the fruit. God does the whole thing. There's really nothing better than Joe's Fruit. I mean, we'll see. We'll see when we get there. But as far as this matchup goes, Joe moves on.
All right, and Tony, what do you got here?
I agree. And, Joe's Fruit wasn't just it wasn't just like that one episode you banned, right? Kramer comes with the cantaloupe early on with the and gives it to Jerry to, eat this, try this cantaloupe. So, Joe's Fruit's a staple in the neighborhood. And as great as reservations are and Pretzels Thirsty are, I think Joe is just the fabric of the entire neighborhood. Gives that New York feel we love. That's a move on for me as well. We got Chalk down there going into the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I like that character Joe over the lady behind the counter at the Rent-A-Car place. So yeah, that's a solid pick there. All right, Cray America Industries versus the Executive Raincoat. Tony, what's your pick here? Another upset over number 1?
Listen, this is a hard one for me. I do love Darren, man. I love the chicken wire stuff. I love to throw this tub of oil out the window. As much as I love the close talker Judge Reinhold, as much as I love Rudy's, this is a tough matchup for me. This is a real tough matchup for me. I know I kind of poo-pooed the Executive earlier on, but it is a strong episode. I think I know where my partner's going. This might be a Schmid one. I kind of think I know where Schmid's leaning too, but listen, man, I got to make the call here. By a hair, I'm giving Cray America another nod on this one, the 1 seed. I think there's just enough. It holds too much water, man, in the pantheon of Seinfeld lore to just let it lose this early.
All right, Chris, what do you got? What's your thoughts here?
I tell you, Schmidt, can we get a thermometer? Is Tony not feeling well today? I mean,
we'll see.
Industries, this is too big, man.
The Raincoat was one of his favorite episodes of all time. He loves Reinhold.
We're talking about the fake company product, though. We're not just focused on the episode.
That's what I was going to point out.
O'Hara, you know this. We're analysts. If we were talking about episode, the Raincoat wins easy.
Well, you keep bringing up the woman from NYU, the chickens, the terrible scenes. So you want to go that route?
That's fair. That's a route along Cray America Industries. So I get it. If you don't like that lady, then you're not gonna like Cray America Industries. I like that lady. I do like that lady.
This is Morty.
The flies down.
This is terrible stuff. This is Morty Seinfeld. He's been in business for 50 years. Been doing this. Been working the New York angle. He's got Klompus sending him up. I mean, think about it. You know, the beltless raincoat. I mean, incredible idea. He gets Kramer on board, right? He's doing all the legwork. I mean,
Oh,
this
you got
is
Klompus. You got Klompus. I may
Yeah.
change my vote right there.
it's just it's
I'm
not
changing my vote to executive raincoat. I know it's probably
It's-
weird, but I just changed it.
It's not even close. I mean, you got Klompus. You got them
You gotta
negotiating
jiggle
with
it. You gotta
Rudy.
jiggle it. You gotta jiggle it.
Yeah, and that's again, that's going more into the episode, which you told me not to do. But
No,
I'm
it has to
talking-
do with the coats though, because he's getting the coats. He's got to get the coats.
yeah, fair. But I'm just saying. But then negotiation with Rudy and this and that. I mean, it's like business happening. It's a real company in so many ways. So
Yeah, but
All
even
right.
Klompus called them those old crappy coats. What are you going to do with them? So, but anyway, you both picked the executive raincoat, so it's moving on. So look,
Yeah,
look at
I
this.
was out of my mind. O'Hara's right. Put a thermometer in.
You got to you.
All right, folks.
uh,
What do we got? I got to listen. This is an easy one. I'll quickly do it. Friends on Clyde. I think we touched on every reason why before. Adios.
Gladiator Jim.
Yeah.
Mandelbaum gave it a shot. We got him. We got a first round upset, but 13 seeds moving on to the Sweet 16. Man,
All right, look at that. Friends of Clyde. I definitely agree with that pick too. So Reggie's Diners versus Lasky's Bar. Wow, we got two hangout spots. Listen, the Bizarro Boys, they like Reggie's Diner. We know that Rick Bar Properties, they love Lasky. So which gang you hanging out with? So Tony, what do you got?
this is a winner for me. I mean, Reggie's moved on, but they're not getting past Lasky's. So Howard mentioned we've all been to a Lasky's. You go there after work, maybe you bail out right around this time, right? Where you going for lunch to watch those first round games? You're going to Lasky's. You're grabbing 4 fucking coworkers. You're going to Lasky's, right? You're getting a burger. You're getting a beer. You got the games on. You're celebrating. It's March Madness. Lasky's Bar. Easy advance for me.
Absolutely. All right. So Chris, do you agree with that? Lasky's moving on, or you're a Reggie's fan?
Lasky's move. Tony painted a perfect picture right there. Lasky's moves on.
Yeah, there's no big salad at Reggie's. All they have is Sanka. So yes, Lasky's moves on. All right, we got the movie Prognosis Negative versus Penske. Let's see, is Penske strong enough to move past Prognosis Negative? Or how are your
Yeah, it is. And again, it's a big episode, but yeah, it's Penske, the Penske file. For all those that have worked in offices and I've worked with a bunch of companies. I never knew what the hell they were. And I was not that I was told to work on a file, but call them and sell, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And then George just the big office, the accordion Tony mentioned. Penske moves on.
All right. Tony, same pick, Penske.
Oh yeah, no brainer. Penske moves on.
There you go, folks. All right, back to the Cherones bracket. All right. Ooh, all right.
Look out, folks. Look out, folks.
Could be
Tony-
upset in the making. All right, Pendant versus
Yeah.
Now We're Cooking.
Let's not get crazy here.
Yeah.
I go first on this one. Pendant,
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah, let's move it on. If I could work at any fake company in America, it'd probably be Pendant.
Pencil
Even
it
though
in. All right,
even though
there
they're
we go.
bastards.
All right. Actually, it's Lee Brandlin Investments. That's the company.
Brand Leland, no?
Yeah, Brand Leland Investments.
Oh, investments. Oh yeah, I just left that off.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We all know. But technically, yeah, they're investments. That's not. I said Brand Leland Financial before, but Champagne Video. Wow. All right. Chris, start us off with this one.
Yeah, Brand New Investments against Champagne Video. It's Wall Street versus Main Street. And listen, folks, I'm going Main Street. I'm going for the people here. And I think we talked about it earlier. It's the fabric of the show. Tony talks about the fabric of the neighborhood with Joe. I think Champagne plays a equal part. Joe in the morning. And I think about your day, right? What you're doing through the day.
A lot of characters coming through.
In the morning, a little Reggie's for lunch. And then you go on the champagne video, have some fun at night. So 13 moves on.
All right, that's it. Patton Oswalt worked there. So, Tony, what do you think here? Brantley win or Champagne?
Yeah,
Video?
well, that's not helping their cause, but I think I think O'Hara's got valid points there, and yeah, I do have a soft spot for video stores. To O'Hara's point, they kind of, especially down in the neighborhood there, the neighborhood before these blockbusters came and took over. So I do like it. Brent Leland, though, it made a nice, a 5C might have been too high for it, but I think. I think it had enough to get past Reggie's Lounge, but not Reggae Lounge, not get any further. Champagne Video moves on, 13 seed in the Sweet 16.
Okay. All right. Here's an interesting matchup. We got the fake product Beefarino versus the movie Sack Lunch. So, Tony, work us through this one.
This is a tough one for me. This might be the hardest round 2 so far. Yeah, this is really hard 6-3 matchup. I do love the Rye episode, as I've already said many a times. I mean, the thing about Sack Lunch is there's so much there, so many layers to Sack Lunch. It's the poster, it's the story behind the poster, it's just the stereo. How'd they get in there? Just a great name for a fake movie, and that's what this is all about, right? It's all about fake products, fake movies, fake companies. So they got to come up with these things. These writers, what's funny. They probably had a whole list to choose from, right? They picked Sack Lunch. They threw a camera together. They got Kaiser's family. They took the picture. The rest is history. I'm going Sack Lunch. Beefarino is too close to Beefaroni. It's not there for what the spirit of this bracket is. Sack Lunch for me.
All right. So, Chris, over to you. Tony made some good points there. You agree?
He made some excellent points. Let's move Sack Lunch on.
All right. Very good. Let's see. We got the Leaping Larry's. I'm sorry. Leaping Larry's versus Kruger. Which company do you want to work for? So, Chris, what do you got?
Where do I want to work? I want to work at Leaping Larry's. Again, I am, these big industrial companies, Play Now, Kruger. I keep going with Main Street here, folks. I got to stick with my theme. We talked about the prices, the name is high, the price is low. We talked about Crazy Eddie's, The Wiz, all these companies. I'm moving Leaping Larry's forward. I know everyone loves Kruger and they're going to kill me on this, but there's something about Leaping Larry's that's, bring me in.
All right. Well, let's go to Tony then. Tony, Leaping Larry's over Kruger.
O'Hara loves talking me into these things, but listen, I know it's probably chalk. To O'Hara's point, I know it's probably the fan favorite, but it's also in the spirit of this. Like I can't go against Kruger in this whole thing here. I mean, what I'm picturing? I'm just picturing Kruger with the flask. I'm picturing, Frank Costanza yelling at Kruger. The whole thing there.
Coco? You like Coco?
I like black red. I like the black red. What's the good one? What's the bad one? What's the difference? It's spinning on the chair. I like some of the stuff can be played out. Yes. But I can't fault him for compiling, right? I can't fault him for that. I got to look at the prime stuff, and the prime stuff's enough to beat Leaping Larry in this one. I'm going Kruger.
All right, so that means we got a split here. As a tiebreaker, like George says, he could go hog wild in there, so I'm going with Kruger.
I mean, I knew producer Chris.
We knew he was going through.
He's a Kruger guy through and through. There was no stopping him on that one. I knew as soon as I made the pick, Kruger was going in.
You might as well get producer Chris, Putty, and Kruger and call it a day.
Don't even put him on there.
I don't know if Putty's Garage had a name.
I don't think we ever do get one. I mean,
I'm a Tony's Garage guy. Anyway.
Yeah, Tony's Garage. We know that one.
Washer fluid's not fine. All right, Tony's up here, right, with the dinky. Okay.
All right, yeah, Tony. So, this one.
This is a tough one.
I hate to see one of these go.
Very tough 1-8 right here, fellas. This is, this whole bracket's hard as fuck. Look at the 5-4 coming up next. Holy cow! Any four of these could win this thing. Wow, what was I thinking on this? All right, the Cougar guy is just so good, This is a tough one. I mean, DiMaggio and Dinky Donuts, smelly, rinky dinky donuts. What, you guys slept with Marilyn Monroe? I mean, who comes up with these things? I'm going Cougar 9000. I just think that guy steals the scene. When I see Cougar 9000 wheelchair, everyone watching this right now fucking laughs just thinking about it. George and Kramer in the shop, the whole thing. I'm going Cougar.
All right. Chris, over to you. What's your pick?
Yeah, Kramer yelping. Dinky Donuts. This is Joe DiMaggio, okay? Cougar at that 9000. Right? That guy, the guy's funny. Soprano. This is Joe D. Okay, the Yankee Clipper. Remember Jerry's face? The Yankee Clipper, and he's a Mets fan. That's the power of Joe DiMaggio. And to know he dips his donuts, it's like him in the box. Dinky moves on.
All right.
Let's move on. Schmidt, what's
the another tiebreaker here. Wow. I mean, Joe DiMaggio, that's not the only place he dunks his donut. He does go to Monk's, and they see him there, and he's dunking his donut. The other thing about Dinky Donuts that I like is that when Kramer goes on his audition for the pilot, he brings up that scene, the Dinky Donut scene. However, Cougar 9000, that whole scene is just amazing. The salesman, George, Kramer, they all knock it out of the park. I think I'm going with Tony on this one. The Cougar 9000.
Wow, I was not expecting that even myself. I think in the spirit of the bracket product, Cougar 9000 wheelchair, where they always throw a number in there like that. I think maybe that might have swayed Schmidt on that one.
And Dinky Donuts are, I'm thinking like Dunkin' Donuts, a little, similar in that vein, but I think I get more out of it myself from Cougar 9000 in the handicap episode.
Wow, that's a big upset.
Joe DiMaggio is rolling over in his grave right now, folks. All right, who's up? Am I up now? JT?
You're up. You got the Optico D29 versus JT Optical.
That's not tough for me. Tony mentioned the numbers are winners. Maybe I'm going the opposite. JT Optical, JNT Optical. Like I said, it's the perfect, optical store. I still can't figure out what to call it. Eyeglass store. It's just sitting there on the west side. You go in, you see Dwayne. A lot going on in that store. It just packed a punch, and relatable, reliable. J&T moves on.
All right. So Tony, over to you. What's your pick here?
Yeah, listen, numbers are great. Initials are really good. You go over to J&T. Kramer knows the guy. He mentioned my name. 30% off. Hopping the hot. Sucking these things down for breakfast. The whole thing. Howard's right. A lot going on in that store. Elton. I know what to tell you, Elton. Dog. Maybe it's not as tough as I thought. You're right. I mean, Klapko had what it had, but the robbery first episode, not written by Jerry or Larry, written by a friend of the show, Goldman. I'm gonna go with O'Hara on this one. I think the 4-seed advances. J&T.
Yeah, I like that pick too. So, all right. The Human Fund, which originated at Kruger's Industrial versus Ron's Records. So, Tony, we're staying with you here. What's your pick?
Yeah, this is kind of a no-brainer for me. As much as I did go for Kruger earlier. I love when George lies, but come on, dude. Ron's Records. I loathe you. You admit a foul, unpleasant odor. I mean, all-time scene. Real brouhaha. What's his face? Can't go to South America.
Sergio Mendez.
Yeah, Sergio Mendez. The whole thing. Ron's Records. That's a 3-seed. Moving on. Going away. Covering the spread on that one.
All
Yeah,
right.
let's keep it moving. We can move on to Jiffy and Dream Cafe here.
All right.
I gotta go. Listen, I talked up Jiffy big time, but Dream Cafe is. I mean, the name of the episode is a cafe for crying out loud. I mean, the whole episode centered around it. Abu came to America to live out the American dream. Jerry kind of crushed that, if you will. Dream Cafe moves on.
All right. Yeah, Tony, you agree with that one?
Yes. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Certainly
I think
moves
that was
on.
a
That's a
choice.
no-brainer for me as well. No contest there.
All right.
Sweet 16. All right, fellas. Oh, what happened
right.
here? Who won this? I
Poppies.
messed up on the
Poppies,
check.
of
Poppies.
course.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Who's up? Tony's up on this one. Here we
Tony,
go.
all right, we'll go with Tony.
Yeah, and listen, O'Hara get on my case all he wants with poppies, and I don't like poppies, and this and that. But this is where I am, right? There's no way poppies getting past Rick Barr properties. I mean, we're talking about. We've already gone through it all, folks. We don't have to rehash everything in this round. Rick Barr is beating poppies, no doubt about it.
All right, Chris. You see things differently, or you agree?
I concur. Rick Barr moves on.
All right.
All right.
there
Didn't
we
even
go.
put up a fight on poppies. I like it.
Here we go. Here we go,
Oh,
folks.
2 versus 3. All right. DeBro versus Joe's Fruit. Chris, starting with you. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked a bunch on both. I'm moving Joe's Fruit on. Again, fabric of the neighborhood. The owner was, I mean, geez, the owner was the owner, right? Joe. Enough. Joe moves on.
All right, Tony.
Listen, I'm going to agree with O'Hara on this one. I'm going to move Joe's Fruit on. I think in the spirit of the bracket, it also works. I think to O'Hara's point earlier, the Bromanzier never really panned out as an actual product, stayed as a prototype, if you will. While it made the tournament on that note, I think Joe's Fruit is what this bracket epitomizes. Just a fake store, fake company in the city, in the Upper East Side. Joe's Fruit moves on.
All right, there you go. Wow, you guys really liked both of these product and fake softball team. So Tony, who's moving on? Friends of Clyde or the executive?
This is a tough one. I was back and forth on executive. I think it's one of those teams that you watch in the first round and it kind of grows on you. Then you start rooting for them as a higher seed. You see them get the upset. You turn the tables. You got Klompus, you got the Low Talk, you got the parents, you got Morty, you got Haggerty, the whole thing. And it's up against another Cinderella story. Frenzo Clyde, Tony Remark, as they say, Karen Besser, I think is Jerry's line there, single greatest moment of my life, he says, winning that game, unbelievable. Wearing the jersey, you gotta love it. The softball thing, we know that Larry and Jerry played in softball leagues. Found that out from a few different of our guests. This is a tough one. I'm going Frenzo Clyde.
All right, Chris, over to you. What's your pick here?
This is a tough one. And, the old there's some mystery behind Frenzo Clyde that, mystery Matt wrapped in a Twinkie, the whole thing. I'm bringing these lines back that have nothing to do with anything. But, and I'm picturing Frenzo Clyde being a bar, right? With all the comedians hung out at. And I'm picturing George hanging out there. And I don't know. Long story short, I'm going down that road. Love the jersey. I don't know what it is, which is why I'm intrigued. So, Frenzo Clyde moves on.
Yeah, I kind of agree with both of you. I mean, the executive raincoat, it was just beltless. All he did was take a belt off it. So no innovation there, really. So, yeah, Friends of Clyde, I like the whole idea of the softball team, going back to a bar to celebrate a win. So, yeah, I agree with that pick. And speaking of bars, here we go. Lasky's Bar versus Penske Office. Chris, over to you.
In the Penske episode, as as George said at the exit, ta-ta, Total. Well, adios, Penske. Lasky's moves on.
Oh, wow. All right. Oof.
Wow.
That's a big upset here in the
O'Hara
making.
made that
Tony.
decision fast. He made that decision fast, folks. There was no thought. There was no brainer on that one. And
Well,
O'Hara
folks,
loves Penske.
I love Penske, but we're 2 hours in, folks, and we want to keep this moving.
The people are intrigued. We got 100 and something people in Twitter. X. The people are intrigued, but I hear you. And you know what? I made the decision early on too. When I saw the matchup, it was tough, but I have been thinking about it, and I think again in what this thing's about. To Harris' point, the Frenzo Clyde enigma mystery, Penske kind of has that too. Even though we see Penske, we don't know exactly what they do. We know what Lasky does, and we know Lasky's is the place to be. If I want a beer, I'm going to Lasky's. Lasky's moves on as well. We got a 14-13 matchup in the Elite Eight.
All right. Wow. All right. We've been talking these two up. Pendant Publishing versus Champagne Video. Tony, which one do you got?
Pendant Publishing, no doubt. This is an easy one. Pendant's moving on for me.
All right. That was quick. Chris, what are your thoughts?
Agreed. It's an incredible company that went out of business with a great leader. So Lippman. So Pendant moves on.
All right, great. Very easy choice there. All right, Sack Lunch. Wow, 2-3 matchup. Sack Lunch versus Kruger Industrial and Smoothing. Chris, over to you. I think I know where you're going.
2-3. Yeah, but I mean, this could be a 13-14 as well if you know. But here we go. Kruger Sack. God. You know, it's almost like flipping a coin here. But I'm going to stick with my loyalty to Tim Kaiser, friend of the show, producer. I think Kruger just got a little dragged out and a little much. I know the black, the red, the whole thing. But Sack Lunch. Let's move on.
All right, Tony, over to you.
Yeah, listen, oddly enough, this was an easy decision for me. I know I was kind of talking up Kruger early, but Kruger had a kind of easy ride here, to be honest with you. I don't know what the committee was thinking. Went through Leap and Larry's. But Sack Lunch, easy win over Kruger. To Harris' point, Kruger got played out. But I will disagree with her. I think America likes this matchup. I think the huge lot of Sack Lunch fans, a lot of Kruger fans. So I think the seating was actually not bad, just to let the committee get some props on that one. But Sack Lunch advances.
All right. Wow, this is another good matchup. Kruger 9000 wheelchair versus Dwayne Store J&T Optical. Tony, who do you got here? Who's moving on?
Yeah, as much as I've been talking up Cougar, and I can't believe Cougar made it this far, to be honest with you, myself, and I'm the one who picked them. J&T by a landslide on this one. Cougar ran into a juggernaut. They got a big upset over Dinkin' Donuts. Maybe their star got into foul trouble. I don't know, but J&T, easy win here.
All right, Chris, your thoughts?
I think it's closer than Tony says, but again, whether it's 1 point or 30, it's one and done here. You survive in advance. J&T moves on.
All right, moving on. J&T. And Ron's Records versus Dream Cafe. I know we talked up Ron's record. It has a high C, but does it, move past Babu and his Dream Cafe? Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, this is. I think this is going to be a tough one. Tony's a big music store guy. I could see him leaning that way versus going to a Pakistani restaurant. But it's Babu. It's the American dream crushed. It's Jerry at his all-time best. For me, the Dream Cafe, easy victory here.
All right, Tony, you agree with that assessment?
I don't know about easy victory. I don't agree with that. I think O'Hara's right. I do love record stores. I do love the scene in that record store gets me every single time. I loathe you. I love when Kramer, talking for Newman is so good. The thing about Babu the thing about the Dream Cafe though is it's one of George's for me. It puts him on the map. I know it's not really part of this, like I said, episode wise.
Yeah, it is. IQ. the
Yeah,
test.
that-
Ties into the whole thing there. The door, why would they use the door? The window's right there. Statute of limitations. Babu humming. We talked to him about that. So good. Not easy win, but I do think Dream Cafe moves on as a 2 seed. I think we got a hell of a matchup coming up there in the Elite Eight.
Yeah, that was a great matchup with Tobin Bell at the record store, the actor, and versus Brian George, who played Babu. I mean,
Wow.
yeah, two incredible actors there.
Our Elite Eight is something else, fellas.
So let's wow.
We got something here. This is gonna be tough.
Now it gets interesting. Rick Bar Properties versus Joe's Fruit. Tony, now it gets to the nitty gritty here. What do you got here? Who's moving on?
Yeah, I mean, this is these are two juggernauts. Holy cow. Man, this is gonna be tough. When I just kind of think about it, close my eyes, gut, who wins this? I'm trying to not let so if episodes are more of a play here, Rick Barr wins by a landslide. If character and product company, fake product company kind of thing is really what we're looking for here, more so than Joe's Fruit wins. And I think that is the essence of this. I think Joe's Fruit is a 2 seed for that reason. We're talking about, like we've said before, the neighborhood, fabric of the neighborhood, small businesses. As much as I want to say Rick Barr, I'm going Joe's Fruit on this one.
Oh, all right. Chris, are you agreeing with Tony here with that assessment?
I am. I think simplicity plays a part here. When I wake up in the morning, do I want to go to Joe's Fruit or Rick Barr? I'm going to Joe's Fruit.
I don't know. I mean, George is hooking up with Ava at Rick Barr. That would have swayed me to pick them.
Fair point there, Mikey. But yeah, I love that. Wow.
Wow! All right.
But guess what? Good segue. I can find Ava at Lasky's Bar, and I'm going with Lasky's Bar here over Frenzo Clyde. I love the uniform. I have the shirt, like I told you. In any other division, Frenzo Clyde might make the Final Four, but Lasky's is what New York and working is all about. You want to get through that day to get to Lasky's. That's meaningful. It moves on.
All right, Tony. Whose Cinderella story ends? Lasky's or Frenzo Clyde?
Oh, Howard put it perfectly. You want to go to Madison and 48th. That's where you're headed. You're going to Lasky's. I mean, that's what March Madness is all about. It's going to Lasky's, getting the beer, like I said earlier. Now, Frenzo Clyde might be a great bar too, and maybe we'd go there in a different universe. But listen, we never went there. We just had the vision of it, and they had a hell of a softball team. But Lasky's advances. I think O'Hara hit the nail on the head there.
All right, very good. So, Pendant versus Sack Lunch. All right. Pendant has a lot of great characters that work there going for them versus Sack Lunch. What do you got, Tony?
Listen, as much as I'd like to get Pendant Publishing out of there because my partner loves them so much, I love them too. But here's the thing, just to throw it out there, I'm going to advance them, but I just want to throw this out there. If Pendant Publishing just had just the red dot, maybe, and then the whole Ricky Henderson conversation, but they bring Lemon back to some bad stuff. And O'Hara knows this, so keep that in mind. It's not all roses with Pendant, but it's enough to get past Sack Lunch. I'm not arguing there. Mike Lupica, the whole thing. Love Pendant, love Lippman. 1 seed moves on.
Hold on, folks. I think you're talking about Lippman. They brought him back, and it was bad.
Well, fair enough. Fair point. Fair point.
All right, and you're forgetting.
Pendant had a different boss too earlier on. Also,
yeah, I get that. But here's the thing: Elaine's dad, Pendant, those bastards. I mean, Pendant's kind of that. Hey, listen, it's a fun place to work. It's not like Rick Barr. You got a tough boss you're scared of. This is Lippman. He's fair. You got Toby. You got a lot going on there. I mean. But we'll get to it. Pendant moves on. We'll
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, so let's scroll on down. Wow. All right. Two of our favorite places here, Chris. J&T Optical, Dream Cafe. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are this is a tough one, but not that tough. I think when we think about America, we keep talking about work, fun places, and then places where you gather and eat. Okay, it's all about food. Sometimes we had Amberell on. Food's a big topic of Seinfeld. Again, no one gathered at Dream Cafe. It's got to killing my point here. But the main three did go there. It's Babu. I mean, it's Babu. I don't know what to tell you. He's incredible. The whole show is based around it. We know how tough it is. What is it? 1 out of every 10 restaurants fail in New York City. And this guy gave it his all. He changed his whole menu for Jerry. Dream Cafe moves on.
All right, Tony, what do you think?
The shrimp is stringy. Great line. Listen, I wanted to try and get J&T through, but I can't. I mean, it can't advance past Dream Cafe, unfortunately, to O'Hara's point. Just too much there. Just too much there is all I could say. Dream Cafe moves on. 2 seed.
All right. Yes. All right. Very
we
good.
got chalk. We got chalk in that bracket. That's the only bracket I think we got chalk in, right? 1 versus 2. Wow, this is it, huh? Final four? This is our final four, folks. All right. So this is a hell of a final four, by the way. Not for nothing, but fellas, what do we got here? This is incredible.
Wow. So Tony, we'll start over on the left side, I guess the West Coast bracket. Joe's Fruit versus Lassie's Bar. Where are you going? Who's going on to the championship?
Listen, like I said, I want to remind everyone that the 10th anniversary party for Rick Bar Properties is going to be Wednesday afternoon at 4 o'clock in Lasky's Bar, Madison and 48th. I want you all to be there. I mean, you hear that, you're there. I mean, there's no way around it, right? I mean, the boss is telling you this isn't even just like the place you're going to go to. Like I said, watch the games, opening day, March Madness. This is the 10th anniversary celebration. We're going to Lasky's. I mean, everything is going to happen there. As O'Hara's brought up many a times, this is the fabric of working in a city. You meet at the bar for a beer. You maybe cut out early. It's just something about it. The name. As much as I love Joe, the guy runs an establishment. He doesn't want anyone messing around. He'll ban you if he's going to ban you. Listen, the guy knows what he's doing. He's been there forever. But I'm going Lasky's. I'm going the 14th seed here, going to the finals.
Wow, major upset. All right, Chris, can you save Joe's Fruit, or are you agreed that Lasky goes on?
So listen, folks, I worked at Rockefeller Center over there, 50th and 5th. Worked at 54th in Madison. I've been to that bar on 48th and Madison. I don't know if it's there anymore. It's PJ Moran's, okay? Burger joint. Very similar to what Lasky's was all about. And I said it before. You work all day till 5 o'clock. As Tony said, you get out a little early. It's to get to Lasky's, not to Joe's Fruit. Lasky's moves on.
All right, I agree with that one. Whew. So we got the Behemoth Corporation Pendant Publishing versus Little Dream Cafe on the corner of Jerry's neighborhood. Chris, who's moving on to the championship game?
I don't know right this second. Some say go with your gut. I'm looking at both, and I go with both. Listen. Pendant Publishing is, when you think about work atmosphere, I mean, think about it. What it encompasses: the Christmas party, the Statue of Liberty, the red dot, George having sex with a cleaning lady, Elaine playing poker with her friends from Pendant. Lisa Pesce, Hiram. I mean, it's Toby, and then the guy at the top, the Tony Soprano of Pendant, if you will, Mr. Lippman. Okay, fair boss but tough. Always had some fun with Elaine with the Orioles. I think I'm talking myself independent here. And as a fake company, Pendant Publishing, I mean, it's pretty good. Dream Cafe, incredible episode. All time. But I'm putting Pendant in the finals.
All right. Tony, over to you. Does Dream Cafe have a chance, or Pendant moving on also?
O'Hara just hit every point perfectly. And listen, here's where I think I'm falling. This is what it's going to come down to in this matchup for me. And O'Hara kind of hit it when he said the company Pendant Publishing. And then you say Dream Cafe. I don't think Dream Cafe has the same cachet. I don't think we think Dream Cafe. We think Babu, right? We think Babu. We think shrimp is stringy. But are we thinking Dream Cafe first? I don't think we are. I think we're thinking, that Pakistani restaurant. We probably might know the name of it, but it's not so much the Dream Cafe that's put us this far, as much as it's everything else. But Pendant Publishing, that got us this far for a reason, and that's going to move on to the finals.
All right, very good, Tony. Wow, so we got a publishing company versus a bar. Now, again, like you said, it'd be great to work at Pendant Publishing and then go with your coworkers to Lasky's Bar. Chris, you made all those great points about Lasky's, but Tony, you just wrapped it up with Pendant versus Dream Cafe. Let us know who's your pick for the championship here.
Yeah, it's interesting that it's showing Pendant Pub on the bracket here because it's got blocked by the box, so it's a bar versus a pub. That's really wild. Listen, we got a 14 seed in the finals, and then we got the blue chip, the old standard, if you will, right? The Dukes, the North Carolinas. Pendant is strong. Lippman, like O'Hara mentioned, at the helm. The best part about Pendant is O'Hara mentioned there's so many co-workers that just kind of come in and come out, and we love them all, right? If I'm tired and enough already, when she's talking to that lady there, or I mentioned Hiram, Dayton, what's his face, Joel Rifkin, the whole, the Elaine's always at her desk, calling Jerry, come on out, have some fun, the whole thing, it's just so good. The red dot, everything there. That said, I don't know, man. We keep going back to Lasky's every time, don't we? Don't we keep going back to Lasky's? Holy cow. The toast. When everyone there on Madison, it's a tough one. I don't know where my partner's going, and so I'm just going to go with my gut, and my gut's saying Lasky's Bar.
All right. So, Chris, it's down to you. What do you got for the champion?
So, I think my partner went with his gut. That was clear. And if I went my gut, I might agree with him. But I'm an analyst. And everything Tony mentioned, everything I just talked about, Pendant, it's an incredible fake product. Fake name, fake everything. And let's be honest, Elaine working there was the greatest part of the show. Her leaving Pendant, let's be honest, the show was never the same. That holds weight. She was great in Lasky's too. She was, I don't know, she was working then, but just doing her thing with George was funny. Loved it. And Lasky's number 2 here. No, not poo-pooing Lasky's at all. But when you hear Pendant Publishing, you think about Seinfeld. You think about premium Seinfeld, not fucking muffin tops, not Kruger, and all this nonsense you Pink Hat fans love. Pendant Publishing was years 3 through 5. For me, It's pendant. I'll leave it up to producer Chris to break that tie.
Wow. Yeah. Great analysis there, Chris. And yeah, we talked Lasky's into, being a great place to go to. It only appeared in one episode. Only George and Elaine went there. Pendant. Everybody showed up pendant. Kramer was there to sell his book. George was there, worked there for a little while till he got fired. Jerry even showed up. Again, they interacted, with Littman as well. So that's, like you said, it's prevalent throughout a great, chunk of Seinfeld, the great years of Seinfeld too. And that's why I prefer Delane to work, not at Peterman's, not with Pitt, at Pendant. So yes, Pendant becomes the champion of our bracket. So there you go, folks. We narrowed it down to Pendant Publishing being the best fake company, product, movie, what have you, of Seinfeld.
There it is.
Yeah, we definitely enjoy everybody coming in to join us and go through this whole experience, and we hope you agree with us. But even if you don't, that's fine too. You're free to absolutely have your own opinions and your favorites.
My partner stayed true that after season 5 is when Pendant went. That's it. We was talking the opposite. Lane's gone, and that's where it starts going downhill. It's fair. Schmidt made some good points there as well. Everyone's been dependent. Jerry was at Pendant. Kramer selling the whole thing there. So solid bracket. Thank you everyone for tuning in again. We'll maybe post this bracket somewhere. Tune in every week to the podcast and all that good stuff. Anything else?
Thanks, America. Go enjoy March Madness.
All right.
Thank you all.